Okay, so this is part two of the Hero Mentor, Poetic Mentor project. And yesterday you looked for a poet, and hopefully you found a poet that you like. And once you find a poet, you were supposed to or were asked to find a poem by that author, and then copy and paste it into a Word document. Okay, so the next step will be, and I'll show you, this is an example of my poem. It's called Still Another Day I by Pablo Neruda. And as you can see, it's not that long. It's not too short. It's not much over 30 lines, and it'll be long enough for me to do what I would like for you to do. All right. So the next step, once you have that poem, is that you're going to dialogue with that poem. You're going to dialogue with your mentor. So what I want you to do is then double space out the lines of the poem, not in your notebook, but on that Word document, so that you'll have space to insert your own thoughts and your own lines in between. And basically what you want to do is read one line and then respond to that one line, and then read another line and respond to it. So you're not responding to the entire piece as a whole, just one line at a time. And you might ask questions if you're confused, or you might ask questions to the author. You might take the thought a little further. You might make a joke or make a connection to something, or try to interpret a portion of the line if you want. It's almost like you're having a dialogue with the author, and he or she is saying one line to you, and then you just kind of, the first thing that pops into your head, you say back to him or her based on that. And here's an example of it. If you look at this, my responses are in red. So the first line says, "Still another day I." Said, "It sounds to me like life is one day after another, endlessly. Today is that day, the day that carried." And I thought, is that a birthday? Did you meet someone? A desperate light that since has died. And I imagined a candle burning bright and then snuffed out. Don't let the squatters know. And I thought, the word squatters made me think of squatters in a building, maybe in New York City, a vacant building. Let's keep it all between us. And I thought, wow, you know what? It's impossible to keep a secret. Day between your bell. And my first thought is this the bell that rings to wake up the village? And my secret. And what don't you want to tell? Are you scared? So those were questions, a question that I had for the author. Today is dead winter in the forgotten, and I saw a leafless tree after that line. Comes to visit me with a cross on the map. Made me think, a treasure hunt? Is it buried in the ground, or is it buried in your heart? And a volcano in the snow to return to me. And I thought of Mount Fuji rising high. To return again the water, life-giving and life-sustaining water. Fallen on the roof of my childhood. I thought, a soothing moment for you when you were young. Today, when the sun began with its shafts, and that made me think of lights coming down on a stage, very theatrical. To tell the story so clear, so old, and I thought, is that the same old story all over again? The slanting rain fell like a sword, and it made me think immediately of Bob Mould and the band Husker Du and their song, You Left Me Standing in the Rain. A connection. The rain my hard heart welcomes. And that hard heart made me think of the story of Pharaoh, only in reverse. And I thought, oh wow, is it like the anti-parting of the Red Sea? And as you can see, throughout this, I continued to have kind of my own reflections and my own reactions to each line as I went through. I even thought of a joke, vestments of my persistent song, and the word vestments made me think of priest vestments, and so I thought, hey, two priests walk into a bar. So you're kind of having fun with this, but you're responding all the way through. Once you've done that, and you need to, when you are doing that, and let me just go back, if you have a poem that's longer than 15, 20 lines, then just do this for the first 15 if you want. If you only have a poem that's 3 or 4 or 5 lines, you probably need to find another poem, because you can't really dialogue. It's kind of too short to be a dialogue. But if it's a longer poem, you really only need to do about 15, maybe 20 lines of this dialogue. But once you've done that, you're going to move on to the next part, which is you're going to take a line from the poem. I took and you're going to create your own poem using that line. So I took the line, "The rain my hard heart welcomes," which, if you remember, was a couple of lines back. Right here you can see "the rain my hard heart welcomes." It's in the middle of the poem, in the very middle. But I took it and I used it as the first line of a poem of my own. So I said, "The rain my hard heart welcomes, touches my tongue, fills my mouth, and streams down my throat. The bottomless well of apprehension, a fear that makes me question and hope. You bring me the water, your clouds strewn my skies with shadows cast down on my soul, like the passer-bys on a crowded city street, both touching and not touching me. Let the gauge fill, soak my troubles, for you are one, the one, rainstorm." So that's kind of what I came up with this. So you're going to do that as well. And as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I would like for you to have at least 10 lines of your own. So at least an 11-line poem based off of a first line that is used from any line in the poem that you chose. So that's your second part. You'll probably only be able to get those 2 parts done today in class, but I'm going to share with you the third part, which you can be working on Friday in class. And we'll either have due at the end of class on Friday or the beginning of class on Monday. You're going to create a visual representation of the relationship of you and your poetic mentor. So you're going to create something that I can hang on my wall. It will include the dialogue that you had with the poem that you created, a visual picture of some kind, and then lastly a written explanation of why you chose this poet as your mentor. And this might be based off of your want ad, but it won't be your exact want ad, since your want ad probably wasn't exactly what you got. But it should include this part should include more depth and specifics about your mentor and why you chose him or her. So you're going to put that together and then turn that in to me either at the end of class on Friday, or if it's taking much longer, then we'll turn it in at the beginning of class on Monday.